Most people assume water will always be there when they turn on the faucet. Until one day it isn't. It only takes a few hours without running water for normal life to start falling apart. Cooking becomes difficult. Bathrooms stop working properly. Bottled water disappears from store shelves almost immediately. And suddenly, something most people never think about becomes the only thing that matters. Over the last few years, more cities have started dealing with drought conditions, aging infrastructure problems, power outages, and water supply disruptions. In some areas, restrictions are becoming normal during certain seasons. In others, entire neighborhoods have temporarily lost access to clean water because of broken pipes, storms, or overloaded systems. The important thing to understand is that modern cities are incredibly dependent on complex infrastructure. Water doesn't simply appear in homes naturally. It has to be collected, treated, pumped, filtered, stored, and distributed through thousands of miles of pipes and electrical systems. And every part of that process depends on stability. If pumping stations lose power, water pressure can disappear quickly. If treatment facilities are damaged or overloaded, water quality can become questionable. If drought conditions reduce reservoir levels too far, restrictions start appearing almost immediately. Most people don't realize how fragile the system actually is because, most of the time, it works quietly in the background. Until it doesn't. One of the biggest mistakes people make when preparing for emergencies is assuming they'll have time to react after a crisis begins. But when water shortages happen, panic buying starts almost instantly. Stores run out of bottled water in hours, not days. We've already seen this happen during hurricanes, winter storms, heat waves, and major blackouts. The pattern is almost always the same. At first, people think the problem is temporary. Then shelves empty out. Traffic increases. Supplies become difficult to find. And suddenly even basic items become expensive or unavailable. That's why preparation works best before there's an actual emergency. And preparing for a water shortage doesn't necessarily mean building an underground bunker or turning your home into a survival compound. In most cases, it's about creating simple layers of resilience that make temporary disruptions easier to handle. For example, many families now keep basic emergency water storage containers inside garages, utility rooms, or closets. Others use compact filtration systems as backup protection in case local water quality becomes unreliable. Some homeowners are also exploring small-scale off-grid water systems, rain collection methods, or atmospheric water generation concepts that pull moisture from humidity in the air. Not because they expect society to collapse, but because they want options if infrastructure problems become more common in the future. And that shift in mindset is becoming increasingly normal. The reality is that modern infrastructure is under more pressure than ever before. Cities are growing. Water demand continues increasing. Extreme weather events are becoming more disruptive. And many systems currently operating across the country were originally built decades ago. That combination creates vulnerabilities most people never think about. A single power outage can affect pumping stations. A damaged pipeline can interrupt supply for entire neighborhoods. A drought can reduce reservoir capacity for months at a time. Even temporary maintenance issues can create boil water advisories that leave families scrambling for alternatives. And when millions of people all depend on the same centralized system, small disruptions can escalate quickly. This is one reason why preparedness has become much more mainstream in recent years. It's no longer viewed only as something for extreme survivalists or off-grid communities. More ordinary homeowners are starting to think practically about backup systems, emergency supplies, and self-sufficiency. Not out of fear. Out of realism. And interestingly, some of the most effective preparation steps are also the simplest. Storing extra drinking water is one example. Many experts recommend keeping enough water for several days at minimum. But surprisingly few households actually do this consistently. Another important factor is filtration. Having stored water helps, but understanding how to clean or filter additional water sources can become extremely valuable during longer disruptions. Then there's redundancy. Modern households depend heavily on convenience. Most people have one source of water, one source of power, one source of communication, and one supply chain providing basic necessities. When those systems work normally, everything feels stable. But when one layer fails, people suddenly realize how dependent daily life has become on infrastructure functioning perfectly. That's why more homeowners are starting to build backup layers into their homes. Portable filtration systems, emergency water storage, battery backups, rain collection systems, compact off-grid utility setups. Small preparedness upgrades that don't dramatically change daily life but create flexibility during emergencies. And flexibility matters. Because water problems don't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes they happen slowly. Restrictions increase gradually. Utility costs rise over time. Reservoir levels decline season after season. Infrastructure maintenance gets delayed year after year. Then eventually, a larger disruption exposes weaknesses that were already building beneath the surface. The good news is that preparation today is easier than it used to be. There are more affordable tools, more educational resources, and more practical systems available than ever before. Many solutions are now designed for ordinary homeowners rather than technical experts. And perhaps most importantly, more people are starting to recognize that resilience doesn't require isolation from society. It simply means reducing dependency on single points of failure. That's a very different mindset from panic or fear. It's about stability. Because at the end of the day, most people don't need to become fully off-grid to benefit from preparedness thinking. Even small improvements can make a major difference during temporary disruptions. Having stored water during a boil advisory. Having filtration during an outage. Having backup supplies during supply chain shortages. Those things can reduce stress significantly when normal systems become unreliable. And as infrastructure challenges continue growing in many parts of the world, these conversations are probably only going to become more common. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe to the channel for more videos about infrastructure, preparedness, off-grid systems, and practical resilience strategies. And if you want to explore some of the emergency water systems, filtration tools, and preparedness resources mentioned in this video, you can find additional information in the description below.